All right, buckle up, everyone, because we are diving into a story that's got it all. We're talking ancient history, powerful rulers, a little bit of magic, and a message that still resonates thousands of years later.
That's right, we're tackling the story of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba.
You got it. Now, you might have heard this one before, maybe in a religious context, but trust me, there's so much more to uncover. We're going to explore the historical and cultural forces at play here, stuff that makes this story fascinating even today.
And believe me, it's a story that's captivated people for centuries. We'll see why it still has so much to say about leadership, faith, and what happens when different cultures collide.
So first things first, let's set the stage. We're talking ancient Israel, and our main man is King Solomon, inheriting a pretty impressive kingdom from his father, King David.
Not just any kingdom, though. This was a time of great power and influence for the Israelites.
Right. And Solomon. He wasn't just some king sitting around counting his gold. He was famous for his wisdom, considered unmatched in his time.
His wisdom was legendary. People traveled from all over just to hear him speak, to get his advice.
But wait, there's more. On top of all that wisdom, Solomon was also believed to have, a few extra abilities.
Oh yeah, we're talking supernatural powers here. People genuinely believed he could command jinn, these powerful spirits, kind of like genies. He could even control the wind itself.
It's the wind. Like, just whip it around however he wanted.
That was the belief. And to really grasp why this was such a big deal, we got to remember what it was like back then. People believed in magic and the power of spirits. It was part of everyday life.
So someone like Solomon, who could supposedly command those forces, he would have been seen as incredibly powerful, someone you definitely wouldn't want to mess with.
Absolutely. It's like having a direct line to some of the most awesome forces in existence. People would have been in awe of him.
No kidding. And if that wasn't enough, the stories say he could also talk to animals, like actually have conversations with them.
I mean, think about it. Wouldn't that be incredible? Imagine understanding what animals were thinking, what they were trying to say.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Though I'm not sure I could handle all that bird gossip.
Right. But in Solomon's case, this ability, particularly his connection with a bird called a hoopoe, well, that's what really gets our story going.
The hoopoe. What's so special about this bird?
It's a striking bird, known for its distinctive crown of feathers. Think elegant, almost regal. And in many cultures, including ancient Israel, birds were seen as messengers, connecting the human world with the divine.
So they weren't just chirping about worms and stuff, they had a higher purpose.
Exactly. And in this story, the hoopoe acts as Solomon's eyes and ears to the wider world.
Okay, so what message did this regal messenger bring back?
Well, the story goes that this hoopoe went missing one day, which was unusual in itself. And when it returned, it told Solomon about a wealthy, powerful kingdom called Sheba, located somewhere in modern-day Yemen or Ethiopia.
Yemen or Ethiopia? That's quite a distance.
It was. It would have been a journey of many months, fraught with danger, across vast deserts and potentially hostile territories.
So not a quick trip then. What was so important that this hoopoe had to tell Solomon about this faraway kingdom?
It wasn't just any kingdom. It was ruled by a powerful queen named Bilqis. And she and her people, they didn't worship the same god as Solomon.
Oh, so a clash of cultures and, well, religions, right?
You got it. Back then, religion wasn't just something you did on the weekends. It was woven into every aspect of life. Law, governance, culture, everything.
So encountering a kingdom with entirely different beliefs, that was a big deal.
Huge. And Bilqis and her people, they worshiped the sun.
The sun, like the big fiery ball in the sky.
The very same. Now, to some, that might seem strange, but we have to remember that sun worship was widespread in ancient times. And it makes sense, right? The sun, it's this powerful, life-giving force. Every day it rises, bringing light and warmth, essential for crops to grow, for life to flourish.
I can see why they'd worship it. It's not hard to see its importance.
Exactly. It represented this constant cycle of life, death, and rebirth. For many cultures, the sun wasn't just an object. It was a symbol of vital energy, something worthy of reverence.
Okay, that makes sense. So what did Solomon do with this information? I mean, finding out a powerful queen in a far-off land worships the sun, not his god. I imagine that could have been taken the wrong way.
Oh, absolutely. Back then, different beliefs often led to conflict, even war.
So did Solomon decide to flex his mighty king muscles, maybe send an army to set things straight?
Not quite. Remember, Solomon was known for his wisdom, for thinking things through. He decided to send the hoopoe back to Bilqis, but not with a threat, not with an army, but with a message.
Okay, so what did the wise king say to the sun-worshipping queen?
He invited her to consider worshiping the one true God, the God he worshipped. He presented it not as a demand, but as an option, an invitation to a different way of understanding the world.
So, a gesture of peace, not aggression. Pretty bold move for a king in those times.
Absolutely. And remember, Bilqis, she's a powerful queen in her own right. She's known for her intelligence and her diplomacy. She could have easily dismissed Solomon's message, seen it as a challenge, or even an insult.
So how did she react? Did she just laugh it off?
Not at all. She recognized that this was a delicate situation. She knew she couldn't ignore Solomon, a king famed for both his wisdom and his, let's say, connections.
By connections, you mean his supernatural abilities.
Precisely. So Bilqis, in a brilliant display of diplomacy, decided to send Solomon lavish gifts. We're talking gold, jewels, spices, the finest her kingdom had to offer.
It seems like she was trying to feel him out a bit, get a sense of what he valued before revealing her hand.
Exactly. It was a strategic move.
So what happened next? Was Solomon dazzled by all the riches? I mean, it's easy to say you value faith over material wealth when you're not staring down a mountain of gold.
That's where Solomon's leadership truly shines through. He refused the gifts.
He just turned down a queen's treasure.
He did, and in doing so, he sent a powerful message back to Bilqis. He showed her that his faith, his principles, meant more to him than any earthly riches.
That takes some serious conviction. Not many people, especially those in power, would make that choice.
It's a powerful reminder for all of us, isn't it? It's easy to get caught up in wanting more stuff, more possessions. But true fulfillment, true wealth, it comes from within, from our values, our beliefs, our connections with something greater than ourselves.
Wow, yeah, it's like they say, money can't buy you happiness.
Yeah.
Or in this case, it can't buy you faith.
Exactly. And this act, it intrigued Bilqis even more. She needed to meet this king who valued faith over fortune, who lived by his principles even when tempted with immense riches. So she decided to make the journey herself.
She traveled all the way to Solomon's kingdom just to meet him.
She did. And Solomon, well, he wanted to make sure her journey was worthwhile. He wanted to demonstrate the power of his God in a way that Bilqis couldn't ignore.
So what did he do?
Yeah.
Whip up a hurricane, conjure a giant feast out of thin air.
Even more impressive, he used his command over the jinn, remember those powerful spirits, to transport Bilqis's throne, her own royal throne, all the way from Sheba to his palace.
Wait, he had her throne shipped before she even got there. That's some next-level planning.
And talk about making an entrance. Imagine Bilqis arriving, probably expecting the usual pomp and circumstance, only to find her own throne, a symbol of her power and authority, sitting in Solomon's palace.
I bet that got her attention.
Oh, absolutely. It would have been a powerful testament to Solomon's abilities and, by extension, the power of the God he worshipped. Now, unfortunately, the historical record doesn't give us every detail of their conversations, but we can imagine two powerful rulers, each representing different cultures and belief systems, engaging in deep conversation, a real meeting of the minds.
It's fascinating to think about those conversations. What were their arguments, their points of agreement and disagreement? Did they challenge each other's beliefs, find common ground, or maybe even a bit of both?
Exactly. It must have been a remarkable exchange of ideas, perspectives, and insights. And ultimately, after witnessing Solomon's power and wisdom firsthand, Bilqis made a decision that would change everything.
So what happened? Did she end up converting to Solomon's faith?
She did. The story goes that Bilqis embraced Solomon's God and returned to her own kingdom, determined to guide her people towards this new faith.
Wow, that's quite a story. And it really makes you think, doesn't it?
I mean, that's
about
my
faith. Yeah, but also about communication, diplomacy, and what happens when different cultures meet, sometimes clash, but sometimes find common ground.
Absolutely. It's a story about leadership, about staying true to your values, even when faced with temptation. It also makes you wonder about those conversations, those debates between Solomon and Bilqis, and what we can learn from them even today.
So much to unpack. It makes you wonder, what can this ancient tale teach us about navigating our own complex world, our own encounters with different cultures and beliefs? Something to think about.